So heart math breathing is just a way to use the breath to modulate heart rate so that the nervous system can go from sympathetic state to parasympathetic state. So that's from stress to calm in a minute. So that's biohacking the system through breath. So it's one of the most powerful ways to really regulate oneself. And then there's oxygen therapy. If you saw, I don't know, if you look at my website, there is a bike with an oxygen ladder.
Right.
So that's high saturation oxygen. That's about 93% oxygen.
Okay.
And it uses something called altitude training. So adaptive contrast. So there's a part in the routine where you breathe 93% oxygen, and there's a part where you breathe 13% oxygen, and that is when you start biking.
Okay.
And there are ways that the
is this based at all, or did you put any of this together? Have you seen that study that came out of Israel in the last couple of years? It was a hyperbaric study. It was a hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And the way I understand it is it was quite a large group. They've reversed aging, but what they would do, they would take and they would bring them down to depth, so to speak, hyperbaric. They'd give them 100% O2 for, let's say, 40 minutes. And then they would change that, just like you're saying, they would change the amount of oxygen. They would go off oxygen to a regular mix. Instead of 100% O2, I think it went to a 20-80 mix. They would breathe that for 10 minutes. And they would do this. So changing that saturation, it sounds very similar to what you're doing. Is this where it came from?
You hit the nail on the head. Actually, EWOT, it's called exercise with oxygen therapy. It's with a bike. It simplifies what HBOT wants to do, because HBOT requires, inflation, deflation, and it's about 45 minutes to an hour and a half inside the chamber. So that's like 2-3 hours, the whole thing. My bike, my EWOT takes 15 minutes. That's it. That is it. And you're done for 3 days. Your oxygen is super high. And, COVID and other disease will hit in a hypoxic environment. So a high oxygen environment will pretty much stave off inflammation.
The way I take it is sort of a do-it-yourself medical biology, and a bit more freedom to take on things for yourself in a positive way. In your words, how would you describe biohacking to someone who's never heard of it before?
Biohacking is really about taking control of your biology so it doesn't control you. And with that comes with a lot of knowledge. And it doesn't have to be scientific knowledge. You could just, glean off of articles and websites, podcasts, and, infographics, and just apply to yourself. So you would kind of harness the myriad of ways that the body puts itself back together, the way it self-organizes. And it could be the simplest of things, which is sunlight exposure, taking cold showers, doing pranayama. These are all biohacks. We never knew what they were called, but actually they are one of the most popular biohacks. Simply that, and then being very mindful about what you put in your body, your toxic load, and just how your immunity is number one priority. Even before the pandemic, this was every actor's priority. Yeah.
Right. So, Eli, maybe we start with your background. Give us and our audience a little bit about your background. How did your biohacking journey begin? Tell us your story.
The story is a little bit woo-woo. It was a calling, for all intents and purposes, with my higher self or something, whatever. I was just led to follow Dave Asprey through a post that somebody made about bulletproof coffee on the internet in 2015. Oh. And do you guys know what bulletproof coffee is?
Yeah, I do now.
You do now.
Right.
And, yeah,
Yeah,
what a
so-
great story. I love that story. And Dave, and I saw a lot of stuff on him the last few days, and great. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Bulletproof and your story. Go ahead. Sorry.
So Bulletproof Coffee, I was just browsing on the internet and somebody posted it and something pulled me towards it. I have no idea why, just something. And so I went to Manila, searched the supplier and got all the Bulletproof supplies, got Bulletproof coffee, MCT oil, bought some grass-fed butter and made myself a cup of coffee the next morning. And when I did my first sip, I looked up and I saw a butterfly come out of a cocoon, literally. So I was out in the garden.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot of science for me, really. In this journey, it's a lot of science. I came upon this middle-aged, I was 43, 44, and I was planning to just not do it, semi-retire. But there was something about this. There was just something about it. And so I followed my nose. And that the saying by Rumi, once you start to walk on the way appears. That's pretty much what happened.
Right.
As soon as I started connecting the dots, the path would just go open more widely every time. And it was unmistakable. So I just followed my nose and went down the path, did everything, put up a center, and here we are.
Wow. So yeah, that's a great story. I was just wondering before your biohacking, what were you doing? What was your passion? What did you get into?
Yeah, what was your profession? Did you have an expertise before this? Is it something that was similar that correlated with this?
I went to hotel school. So in a way, it's still a service,
Sure.
It's still in the service industry. And I worked in hotels for about 7 years. And after that, I moved to Canada and I worked in a tech company, nothing related at all. I was very adventurous, that's for sure, and fearless. Would just jump into anything, go snowboarding, scuba diving, all of that. Looking for coffee. I'm just connecting the dots backwards now. But it really did come at a time. It's kind of a precursor to what's happening now. I had to discover it in 2015 so that I could build enough knowledge and learn enough things to prepare for what's happening right now, which is amazing because then, the calling was urgent. I followed it and it turned out to be perfect timing.
Pretty happy with that as well. We have been following you. Janet's friend, her name is Alan, who sort of pointed us in your direction, and we found you on Facebook, and we're really watching some of the things that are going on. Especially, I think one of the other places that we found you was the CDC, which is the
Yes,
Concerned
CDPH.
Doctors and Citizens
Of the Philippines.
the Philippines. Yeah. And we want to get into that here a little bit later. Before we delve too deep, I really want to talk a little bit more about biohacking. And it's such a broad subject in so many different angles and degrees. For example, like biohacking, the way I understand it, it can be anything from a very holistic approach to almost a transhumanism approach where people are implementing chips into their hands, using augmented reality, anything to enhance their themselves in some sort of way. Where is your sort of thought in that regards? And is there a place where you draw the line?
Absolutely. Great question. Thank you. And there's a huge difference between my kind of biohacking and transhumanism. We don't actually call that biohacking. We call it body hacking because it's not harnessing the natural powers that we were born with or evolved with in our DNA. You are hacking into it literally.
Right.
So no, that's not where we want to go. What biohackers believe is that we are continually evolving, and that in fact we were born to die unfinished. We die, and there's still a lot of potential that could have still gone on. And that we are eternal, eternal evolution, and we have stem cells cells that never die, which are stem cells. So that therein lies the secret to, our are supposedly eternal trajectory. So that's where I'm going. Other people and other biohackers, sadly, are so enamored of the idea of AI, artificial intelligence, because they think that the body is so limited. Along with that, thinking is that the body is limited. But we don't think it is. We think it's unlimited. The potential, we haven't even actualized it. But they want to already kind of shortcut their way into optimization by, artificial intelligence. It's really not the way to go. And some biohackers also get into other practices that I don't agree with, such as harnessing blood plasma of younger
Right. The young
individuals.
blood
Yeah.
hack. they call
Young
it.
blood. There you go. Young blood. I am not into that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, because that is not you. We always
Right.
want to harness whatever whatever's uniquely yours. So that's pretty much where I am.
That is great to hear, because for me personally,
Yeah.
I'm definitely in line with your philosophy and ideas there. I have some real issues on the side with transhumanism and, the separation between us and God, so to speak. And also with some of the things that we're dealing with today with sort of this new world order agenda, which is sort of falls in line with transhumanism as well, which I'd like to sort of, I'm sort of a proponent, a fight against that. So let's move forward a little bit more into biohacking. Tell us a little bit about you and your biohacking journey. Tell us some of the adventures of experimenting on yourself.
Stories.
Because I have some personal ones myself. I am this really believer. I want to, if I can, I want to live to 100, 120 and physically fit, maybe 180. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have ideas and things that I work with as well. So tell us your experimentation.
Yeah, so my experimentation happened. I found Bulletproof at a really crucial time, because all of my autoimmune diseases came out, whether they came from vaccination from the past. I got the H1N1 vaccine, I got Gardasil, I got the flu vaccine. I was not a biohacker at that time. It was required of me because I had to participate in the Vancouver Olympics, and it was a prerequisite. I couldn't get out of it. I was just a volunteer, not an athlete. But so
Vancouver,
I had to take it. And
British Columbia.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. My father built the housing for that event. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you stayed there. But a beautiful place.
Really?
Yeah. I grew up in Washington State. My dad's really into building sort of camps and housing, and he had the contract there. And he was there, got to go to it. I missed the whole thing, but yeah. Beautiful,
world.
beautiful, lovely place. I love that place.
Amazing. I'm actually a naturalized Canadian, so that I was living there. I lived there for 6 years, and then I ended my stint there with the Vancouver Olympics. So I left with a bang.
Oh, wow.
You might say. Yeah, it was
Nice
amazing.
ending.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, really once in a lifetime experience. And so
Our well-crafted and thought-out floating homes and offices can symbolize your brand, your spirit, and help transform your business. If you're looking to build a sister ship, a retreat or resort, drawing on elegance and romance of exotic and faraway places, our beautiful homes make for the perfect solution. Maybe it's time for you to taste the lifestyle of the future. Please contact us for consultation. For international and local builds, please find us at floatinghomes.tech. Again, that's floatinghomes.tech.
I turned middle-aged. Perimenopause came. I was 43, 44. I never had kids, so it came early. I got 3 autoimmune, like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, Sjogren's syndrome, and rheumatoid arthritis, and a little bit of lupus borderline. It all came up, and my asthma came back, and that had to do with adrenal fatigue, a little bit of adrenal fatigue, a little bit of underactive thyroid, and all of that. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm holistic. I like essential oils. I like vegetables and all of that. What am I going to do? That's when I found Bulletproof coffee.
Wow.
And when I found Bulletproof coffee, I got into the Bulletproof diet and all of, the mentality, the thinking behind biohacking, which is really essentially to reduce your toxic load and to boost your cells naturally. pretty much that's it. That is the whole gist of it. The number one rule is to remove kryptonite. So whatever is causing inflammation, whether that be food, drink, a person, EMF exposure, heavy metals, personal products that are thyroid or endocrine disrupting, remove all of that from your body. And 60% of what you're feeling will resolve, which is true. Enhance your sleep, manage your stress, do self-regulation practices like meditation or pranayama or restorative yoga, walk to enhance BDNF in the brain, you know, things like that. So I never saw a doctor, nor did I ever take medication for my thyroid, for Hashimoto's thyroiditis, ever. And I'm still okay. I'm still good. I'm in perimenopause, probably already pretty much menopause, but I'm not experiencing the symptoms at all. Except maybe the weight. I'm not as thin anymore as when I was in my younger years, but that's okay. That's totally cool.
So when did this all start with you? Like a few years back, because you said you left Canada, and I assume this biohacking started after you left Canada. You know, like you never saw, you never saw a doctor. So
yeah,
that's
actually there's when I left Canada, I moved to India. I was called to India. Oh my God, it's gonna get interesting. I was called by Sri Aurobindo. I'm sorry.
Really?
But when I say called, I mean it's like you download the information, you see a book, or you meet someone that talk, you know, that's the way I say called. The synchronicities like that. But I left Canada and I was called by Sri on the path. Exactly. Rumi opens up and everything. And I landed in this place called Oroville. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a utopian. Oroville. Oroville.
Where's that? What
I
part
kind
of
of
it?
know like an Oroville, Texas. I know maybe Oroville, California, but go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, the Orovilles in Texas and California, I think, are kind of associated with Oroville, India.
Really?
There's a Sri Aurobindo following thing there. Anyway, Sri Aurobindo is a freedom fighter. Okay, he wanted to get the British out of India. So, and you know, true enough, Independence Day was declared on his birthday. I don't know if that's coincidence or if they really made it that day, but he was a real freedom, kind of like CDCPH, you know, fighting against the authorities and tyranny and all of that, right? Yeah. So I ended up there in Oroville. It's a utopian city with no law, no decree, no rules, supposedly no money.
Unreal.
Yeah. Unreal, yeah, but it exists. It's been there since 1968, and it's solar powered. It's forest agriculture. I forget what you call it. Agroforestry. There you go. Agroforestry, Waldorf schooling. Forestry. You know, they a barren piece of land. They grew forests on it, and there's about 3,000 people, 130 something nationalities: German, French, Japanese, all. And they all live in this city. And I lived there for about a year and a half, just soul searching.
I'll bet. I bet that changed you completely. This is where this was the transformation in Oroville.
Yes. And I got to travel India, like different states. And I went to Uttar Pradesh, UP, and everywhere. I went to the Rajasthan, and, you know, the Taj Mahal is everything that they say it is, everything and more that they say it is. So started there, and then from there started moving country to country, just soul searching, looking for something. And then I finally found Bulletproof, and I stay put in the Philippines.
Cool.
Yeah. So that 2015 is when it started. Yeah.
Where exactly is it, Oroville? What part of India?
South India. So Pondicherry. Yeah. Pondicherry. A little bit. I think it's quite near Sri Lanka already. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm curious how it went in Oroville over the past 18 months with mandates, rules, and restrictions. Wonder what happened there.
I wonder, and I also wonder if there's vaccination going. I don't know. I actually don't know. It's a good question to ask.
I've seen quite a few of your posts, And it seems like you're following some of the same stuff that I am as well. But I'm sure you also know about the state in India that decided to go with
Yeah.
ivermectin, and how they
UP.
pretty much knocked out COVID. So, but that's not all
Yes.
of India. So India does do things separately by state and province, so on. So
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Happening here now. Misamis Oriental is the new Uttar Pradesh, is our Uttar Pradesh.
that is such
Yeah.
a great story. It just
Yes.
needs to get out there. Everybody needs to know about this. You know, this is one of the ways out. I think it's actually one of the ways to actually knock out COVID. There's a few, I think his last name's Weinstein. He's been on Joe Rogan a few times, but he talks about how it can actually create herd immunity by knocking it out and having it under control. But also it's so cost effective.
Yes,
It seems to be one of the great miracle drugs.
Yeah.
It's not just COVID. It seems to work for all kinds of things. It's what
HIV, West Nile virus, dengue, whatever. And it is our, it will grant us immunity from agenda, more than COVID, from
Yeah.
agenda, from lockdowns, from medical tyranny, from all of that stuff. Yes. So absolutely.
So Ellie, while we're on that topic, can you tell us about your affiliation with CDC.PH and how are you involved in the group?
Oh, I am just the tech girl. I just stream live. That is all I do.
Lucky
there,
group.
Really. Yeah. I'm very privileged and honored to have ended up there, and I ended up there with a couple of clients who come to my center, and they said, they know about my advocacies and how passionate I am about holistic health, and they said maybe you could contribute a little bit with the group. So they in the seat of the live streamer. So that's what I do, and proudly so. I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Joseph, magandang umaga. Maraming salamat sa oras mo ngayong umaga. Pwede mong kilala ang sarili mo sa audience natin at tungkol sa Tribe Kalamiang Gym at ang mga serbisyo na pinapaanukala mo dito.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joseph Mercado. I'm owner of Tribe Kalamiang Fitness Gym. I'm also a professional MMA fighter.
Thank you. I'm happy. I'm proud to be part of
Yeah,
this
you
group.
really make it all come together. And thank you for your dedicated service there. We definitely need this. It's an ongoing advocacy that we support. How do
Yeah.
you, with your knowledge, I mean, how do other people, we really want other people to know about this. There's so many people that don't know. One of the things that we found months ago when we really tried to onboard, there was a Facebook group and we signed up for it, and we went back to that thing the next day, and sure enough, it was gone. And we were like, wow, it must have been censored.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure. And I think eventually Janet got a hold of,
After a month, after weeks, like almost a month, and then it came back, and then it's now under a different name. And I got hold of Dr. Eli Abela Bayani, and after a long time, he also acknowledged my message, because I'm pretty sure he's so busy. He said, yes, we're censored. We were censored, and we were wiped out off the Facebook, but now we're back. But this is the new name. So yeah.
the whole censorship, the narrative, that we can do a whole show on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I have come to the point where, I mean, the doctors and CDC, they are bad. The worst I got was 3-4 days, but it's happened a couple of times. And now we know, I taught you certain ways on how to tweak it so that their bots won't discover the words, right? But I think it came at the helm of the government saying that it was banned. I think they censored that page because at the time the government sent out a memo or an advisory saying that whoever sells ivermectin will be jailed, things of that nature.
Wow.
And then as soon as in June, when it was declared that there will be ivermectin distributed in Mercury and Watson's and all that, but only as an anti-nematode, as an anti-parasitic, but not as a COVID medication. That's when Facebook kind of, okay, all right, so the president said it's cool and whatever, it's okay, then we won't censor anymore. So now we're hopefully we're not being censored, even if we have a lot of almost everyday ivermectin posts. So
how do people find this group? How do people get on board with it, and how can people sort of also assist in some of the advocacy there?
only through the website evolutionary.org, and through word of mouth. People who attend the huddles, they share the link, and then they listen to us and they keep sharing. And now I think we have a pretty good following. We have people who attend. Maybe 10,000 people are following our page actively. So that's good also. And how people can help is give us some, donations, or even just spreading the cause would be very, very helpful for us.
Okay. On the topic of biohacking, one of the things I want to pull up, I had a quote here, and it was by, I think his name was Benjamin Rush. Let me find that. Yeah. This is Benjamin Rush. This is in 1993. Unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize into an undercover dictatorship to restrict the art of healing to one class of men, deny equal privileges to the other. I read that just the other day and I was a bit shocked. And I said, that was in 1993. And I thought, well, that has a heck of a lot of meaning today. And my guess is your concept with biohacking, that we all should have our own medical freedom. And what's your thoughts on that? And what's going on today with the vaccination, the bullying, all the, we have lots of people who have gotten the vaccine because they're scared, or they've been bullied. They said they can't have a job, or they can't travel. Give us your thoughts on that topic.
I'm totally against, they're trying to curtail our freedom, curtail our bodily autonomy. Nobody owns my biology, your biology, except for you. No doctor, no hospital, no pharmaceutical, you. And part of it is that people need to also be responsible and accountable. They need to just get out of that fear zone and stop putting all of their power, or giving their power away to doctors and hospitals and pharmaceuticals, and start to educate themselves with Dr. Marivic Villa the other day said that the antidote to fear is knowledge. So you're part of my group, right? So in my group, I like to arm people with knowledge and wisdom about the body and how easy it is to put itself back together once you harness that power with the right tools and the right environment. So a lot of it is also educating people, so that they know. Right now they're in this stream of ignorance. They don't know that they have other options other than medication or the vaccine, or what the government mandates. They can actually get out of that. So right now it's just creating an awareness and letting them know. And also another thing is to let them know that it's accessible, it's easy. Some people think that biohacking is expensive. You need to buy these machines, the machines that I have here in my warehouse, and these gadgets and all of that. Not true, not true. All that biohacking copies from is the energy from nature. So the sun, near infrared, we have that near infrared machines. That's what we copy. We have exercise with oxygen therapy. We're just copying oxygen and the way it gives life to our cells, things of that nature. So the key is really become an outdoor species again. Go out. Don't stay inside. Go out and get yourself connected back to nature. So pretty much education, autonomy.
I know a lot of people might disagree with me. There's a lot of people who disagree with me, in fact, but I'm okay with I don't want to have mediocrity. I believe in my ideas here, but I would even say take the mask off. The mask it's ruining our immune systems. So many people don't understand that, but the fact that we need to give up the mask and give up the face shield, we need to give up the fear. When we take a look at I took a look at one of the postings you had in your group this morning, and that posting is that a handful of countries are currently sort of wiping all restrictions, and they're taking a look at COVID for what it really is, as a flu, a really bad flu. And that's how they're going about it. And these are some Scandinavian countries, Croatia, a few of these countries get it, just like you said. And I think that's where people in the Philippines, one of the things that's really crippling us is that fear, that we need to get past that fear and to get outdoors, to be healthy again.
Yeah.
Our bodies need to touch bacteria, and we need to get sick from time to time.
Yes. In relation to that, I grew up here in the Philippines, Ellie. I grew up in the province, actually, in Nueva Vizcaya. And I just remember during my time, our parents, especially my mom or the moms, they always get angry with their kids, and because the kids are always outside playing, and they never go home for meals. They're just like going outside and just
The good old days.
yeah, good old days, climbing trees and playing in the creek, and then the parents pull them inside because they're never inside the house. So like, oh, it's nighttime already. You have to take a bath, clean up, and eat your dinner. Like, but now kids, they're always inside, and you have to pull them outside to go outside. It's just the other way around.
Well, in our neighborhood, actually,
We've
had, I think it's 18 months now, legally, most of that time, I think it was 15, 16 months, anyone from 16
below
the strongest immune systems on the planet haven't been allowed to go outside. And we've taken the life from our kids. It's so shocking that nobody gets that, would be standing up. Hey, what about the kids? So for us,
I don't get that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I don't get that at all. It just feels like they're targeting our kids. It just feels like it's the deliberate target of our kids. I don't know why.
That's
Why?
a huge topic right
It
now.
is.
It's blowing up all over the planet with some of the greatest scientists, some Nobel Prize winners. Some of the greatest scientists of our time are really talking about this is genocide against the people, genocide against the children. And really now, since they have targeted the kids, it hasn't happened here yet, but they do talk about it. And I won't go into Duhorte's sort of making that thing the other day as well. But what's happening is they are targeting these kids who 99.9% chance of even being hospitalized or even death. It's so rare. I think that you have a greater chance of being hit by lightning, and they're sticking something into these kids who's going to genetically change them for the rest of their life. We have no idea what's going to happen 30 years down the road because that test has never been done.
Yeah.
And this is our base, our people, our children, and
Future
who's
custodians.
advocating that?
Yeah.
Like they should be all
Future
be put in a
custodians.
tribunal.
Yeah. Future.
Sorry, getting a little
Yeah.
bit
And I understand why they're not learning from past mistakes. Have people forgotten the Dengvaksha massacre? Have people
Yes.
forgotten that was vaccine injury and ADE that killed, from what I know, 800, but I think it's more, children? And what about, I have a practice with special needs kids, something called the Anak Banyal method. And in my course, we were 120, about 91% of my classmates were parents of kids with special needs. And a lot of them were because of post-vaccine injury
Oh.
from the MMR. So again, adverse reaction. So why are we doing this again to our kids? Why? There's no logical reason.
The adverse reactions, the myocardia, the heart complications, and the heart complications and the death. This is incredible numbers, not just in kids, but it's incredible now with kids. But even worldwide, when we look at the adverse reactions with all these clots, all these complications, it's in the millions. And I think half of those are permanent disabilities. So we're looking at 1 million people with permanent disabilities. We have 40,000 plus deaths in the VARs and the European system. The European system only covers 25 nations out of 50. We just had a report that came out yesterday from Medicaid, Medicare, 50,000 people on top of the 15 or 20,000 in America had died in the first 2 weeks. But the CDC doesn't count a vaccine death unless it's past the 2-week mark, which makes absolutely no sense. But one of the thoughts here is that we see these signals, we see these numbers. It's beyond anything in all of history, and we're still being told by our leaders, our government officials, it's safe and effective. What's your thoughts there? I mean, what's going on?
I don't know what is going on. It's really follow the money. It's medical tyranny that really is. It's kickbacks more than anything, because there's nothing. And yet, it makes you wonder. They're pushing the vaccine, but they sort of allow ivermectin. Do you feel that?
Yeah,
Because
here.
it's in our, it's in Mercury and Watson's. Yeah. So in a
We
way,
have
we
it.
are
We have it on board.
fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that way. But they're still restricting it. But people in my group have had access to it because of Mercury and Watson. So I know in Indonesia and Malaysia and Guam, people are asking me to send them ivermectin because their government will not allow it.
Wow.
So
yeah.
so
Well, we were
so in a way, yeah, I don't know.
we felt
I
that
don't know
way.
why.
That way in the beginning as
Yeah.
well. Like we were really understanding the value of it, not just for COVID, but for many things. I'm a sailor. I sailed around the world for quite a few years. So I always have a very big medical kit at sea.
Yeah.
Because I got to take care of myself. So we were sort of trying to get the ivermectin in the beginning. It was very difficult. And I think we were
Yes.
talking to the concerned doctors of the Philippines. They gave us channel and we opened it up and got it here. But again, that is another story that has been so blocked out of the media. It's not part of it. Most people don't know about it.
True. But going beyond ivermectin, because the biohacking movement is not anti-medication. I mean, we do know, we recognize that medication has a place in wellness. That's to stabilize acute symptoms so that other modalities can then be applied, right? But the idea is to wean off it if you're on medication, or to never take it. Like myself, I never took medication for my thyroid, and everybody that will look at my test, every doctor that will look at my tests will say, I'm going to prescribe you medication right now. Okay. And so ivermectin, we biohack, this is from a biohacking point of view. We look at it as like a stopgap kind of thing, just now, but not forever. So to take it prophylactically, sure. Okay. If it gives people peace of mind to take it prophylactically, go for it, especially we're in the the heat of the moment.
Right.
But when it starts to wane, when the pandemic starts to the edges start to blur a little bit, and it starts to dissipate, I don't think I would endorse ivermectin as prophylaxis, because
Sure.
it is still medication and it's anti-parasitic. I would still go for strengthen your immunity, go out in the sun, do all the stuff that you do. Don't even take your vitamin C or vitamin, because even that can cause liver and kidney toxicity. It's all about balance, really. And we still need oxidants to be exposed to, so that our immune system gets challenged, and then it up levels itself. So we still need, so go get a virus, go get the next virus. Why not? It's nothing wrong with that, as long as your immune system response is adequate. And then you level up. That's kind of what happens. So from a biohacking point of view, we do not really super endorse ivermectin, except that it is the great solution to ending the pandemic right now.
Right.
Right now. But for long term,
Yeah.
Okay.
not a biohack, not really biohacking.
With you there. We're pretty natural, holistic.
Yeah.
Everything in our family is
Yeah.
about eating,
try.
sleeping, and doing everything to stay positive and
Nice.
strong.
So on that topic about ending the pandemic, President Duterte on Monday night, September 27th, said he was considering making vaccination against COVID mandatory in the Philippines, adding the government could compel those who did not want to get vaccinated to receive a shot. What are your thoughts on this?
But he even was worse there. What did he say? You are the carriers.
The unvaccinated
The
or the
unvaccinated.
Yeah.
You are the carriers. It was.
And he was going to use police force or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so Duterte.
I really feel I feel like he's boy who cried wolf. I think that the stuff that he's saying is really to get the last few holdouts to get vaccinated so that we reach 70%. I think I heard from someone that that NCR Metro Manila area is already 70%, and that's why you kind of feel it, relaxing in a way.
Mhm.
I just think that he loves to do these shout outs to get people vaccinated as much as you can. Okay, all those holdouts, get them vaccinated. And then he stops. And then, okay, we're good now. We're herd immunity. I feel I'm not scared anymore. He's the boy who cried wolf. He says something, but he doesn't really. And then, he signed the RA 11525, which basically says that you cannot mandate a vaccine. So
Yeah,
that's
okay, well,
there. And that's
okay, well,
there. And
He
signed
repeat
that.
that again.
Yeah,
I'm,
RA 115.
what is?
Sorry.
It's an amendment. So I actually posted it in Biohacking Philippines, all about
Okay.
why it can't be, because he signed RA 11525 and there's all of these provisions there. So, but I feel that this is just his last ditch effort at scaring people into getting the vaccine as much as you can before they expire, and then that's it. And then he would just say, "Okay, done. We're done."
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of
Yeah. Yeah,
all.
let's hope for the best there. One of the reasons I think we brought it up as well, Janet had a show on the other day. It's a local based show called Voice of the People. It's just starting out. And Janet sort of talking to community members here. And it was quite interesting because we had 3 people at the table, locals in the community. One was a security guard, another one was in tourism. I think both of them were in tourism.
Yeah.
Talking about sort of the human struggle over the last 18 months. But one of the things was quite profound. All of them were vaccinated, but none of them were vaccinated for what I would call the right reason, to stave off COVID or prevent infection. They were all vaccinated because they felt, or they were told,
They were required. They said.
to have this. And that's where Janet and I were saying, I didn't know it was required.
Yeah.
And we've been looking into, as far as we can tell, it's not required, but they were told by officials in our community it was required to travel. Even we had an electrician who came here. He goes just around the island. He said, "Oh, I'm fully vaccinated, or I wouldn't be able to go from local to local, barangay to barangay," which I did look that up, and I can't find it anywhere. But this is sort of in that group.
So
that we found.
I've never come across anybody yet who got vaccinated because he feels or she feels that it is the right thing to do for his or her health. It's always like, natatakot ako kasi hindi ako makakatrabaho. I won't get a job. They won't hire me, or I can't travel because the airport, the seaport, won't allow me to get on board. So those are the reasons. So it's not because of health. It's not because they really think, they even don't believe that the virus exists. That COVID is not true. It's just like a flu, but they got the vaccine because they were required.
Yeah,
So
that's
I've never,
what we're getting.
I swear, I've never talked to anybody yet who got the vaccine free, voluntarily, because he or she understands that it's about his health. It's always like, I'm scared.
Yeah, the grave coercion. I posted I posted in Biohacking Philippines that if there's an employer that requires that, you can call this lawyer, a particular person, a particular lawyer. Yeah, I posted that in Biohacking Philippines.
We'll talk to you a bit after the show, and we'll get that link and we'll put it in the show notes, so everybody who's watching this will be able to follow that information.
If you caught the other huddle where we had lawyers in, there was a 10-minute cameo talk with the lawyers, and they were really pointing out this why grave coercion cannot be implemented here, or mandatory vaccination cannot, because it violates so many provisions in the Constitution. It's not just illegal; it's unconstitutional, is what they're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So, yeah, there are ways. They're just really bullying people. They're tricking people, scaring them into a corner so that they would get it. That's pretty much it. But if you resist the bully, I think they would surrender. I really think we just have to empower people and educate them.
Yes, I think so too, because it realistically, what's happening every day is that people are getting hungrier and hungrier because they don't have any work, they don't have any jobs. So a hungry person there will be no principle anymore. You're just gonna grab anything you can grab onto, right? So I think that's exactly the reasons. Like, we want to work, and that's why we got the vaccination. That's the common denominator there. They all said it, and it's just sad. And it's
I think Rappler reported do you remember when they really were pushing the vaccine drive down in Manila? And I think Duterte 2 or 3 days before talked about jailing people. The next couple of days, they had such an influx of people, they had to shut down the vaccination centers in Manila. And Rappler reported that the people were so scared they're going to get jailed. They had a mad rush to get vaccinated because there was going to be another hard lockdown in a couple of days. So everybody ran in and overwhelmed the centers. So it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
If you look at if you do the chronological, what he keeps saying is you're going to get you're going to get jailed. You're not going to be allowed in restaurants or barbershops or whatever, or malls, right? And then a week later, you find that DILG or whatever, another government agency will say, no, it's not true. The unvaccinated are allowed to move. There's that kind of whiplash from going from side to side. So you really feel that they have this agenda to get as many people as possible. The scaredy cats, the gullible, people who believe anything that you say or cowering in a corner. That and then that's it. Last ditch effort, because it's
but is it not
together in restaurants or barbershops or whatever, or malls, right? And then a week later, you find that it is true, but it's not making a dent with anything. It's not affecting anything. People are still not getting vaccinated. There are of course some, the lines, you'll see that they're pretty long, but for the most part, the people who are not convinced are just not, it's not enough to get them vaccinated.
Okay.
In regards to that narrative that we should be vaccinated, which, I would find, or I would presume that our health ministers around the world would have the ability to discern the data, so to speak, as easy as I can. And what I feel is it just seems to be a no-brainer when we can look at every country in the world, Iceland, Israel, all the places around the world, you can look at them today. The most vaccinated country in the world right now per capita, like Israel, has the worst COVID on the planet. Yeah. Most countries that went through mass vaccination, this is easy. You can even do it. Anybody can look this up for every country that I'm talking about. Once mass vaccination starts, death and infection follows. The president can look it up. The health minister can look it up. So when they tell you, hey, it's about safety, we're following the data. It to me, I'm like, how can they not understand it as well as I can? I mean, I'm not a scientist, but it's pretty easy to look up. It's right in front of you. You can look at, for example, we were vaccinated. We started vaccination in the Philippines on about March 1st, I believe it is. And you can look, whenever you put in COVID cases, Philippines, it goes on the front page of Google, gives you the statistics. You can take your little cursor, go down to the day where we started vaccinating in the Philippines. You look at the year before vaccination, once we started vaccinating, boom, it shot up. And that's where we're at today. Is we're on the rise. And this is everywhere in the world. Once you vaccinate. And so when we have our presidents and our health ministers telling us right to our face, and you can look at it and say, well, they must be lying, or they don't know how to read the data. What's your thoughts there? Or do you see what I'm seeing?
All, and I know these guys are taking ivermectin. They're all taking it. I know they are, because they see the data and they feel it. They know there are surges. So yeah, they would, yeah. Of course, it behooves them to admit that, right? Because then they were wrong. Their predictions were wrong, and their measures that they took were wrong. So they would never admit that. But yeah, there is something going on. There really is.
There is something.
Something, yeah, that I can't. And this is the reason biohacking makes sense, because biohacking essentially makes you agenda immune or pandemic immune.
Fully vax ka, no, Marisa? Anong pakiramdam mo? Anong nabakunahan?
Sa tingin ko, kahit hindi ako bakunahan, kaya kong lumaban.
Safe ba ngayon? Safe ba sabihin natin ngayon, Marisa, na malakas ka? Na talagang nagbabakuna ka lang dahil sa trabaho?
Sa trabaho.
Okay. Nagbabakuna ka, anong naramdaman mo? At ano ang kalagayan mo ngayon?
Kaya lang ma'am, may nagtataka ako kasi yung dinaanan ng karayom, pag ganunin ko ng kutsara, dumidikit yung
yung magnet.
o nagmamagnet man yung dinaanan ng karayom.
Ang totoong virus na dapat katakutan natin is yung nakikita. Yung mga taong kurap, nasa mga opisina, nasa loob ng PhilHealth, nasa loob ng munisipyo, nasa loob ng Malacanang. Yun yung totoong virus na dapat katakutan.
Our well-crafted and thought-out floating homes and offices can symbolize your brand, your spirit, and help transform your business. If you're looking to build a sister ship, a retreat or resort, drawing on elegance and romance of exotic and faraway places, our beautiful homes make for the perfect solution. Maybe it's time for you to taste the lifestyle of the future. Please contact us for consultation. For international and local builds, please find us at floatinghomes.tech. Again, that's floatinghomes.tech.
So heart math breathing is just a way to use the breath to modulate heart rate, so that the nervous system can go from sympathetic state to parasympathetic state. So that's from stress to calm in a minute. So that's biohacking the system through breath. So it's one of the most powerful ways to really regulate oneself. And then there's oxygen therapy. If you saw, I don't know, if you look at my website, there is a bike with an oxygen ladder.
Right.
So that's high saturation oxygen. That's about 93% oxygen.
Okay.
And it uses something called altitude training. So adaptive contrast. So there's a part in the routine where you breathe 93% oxygen, and there's a part where you breathe 13% oxygen, and that is when you start biking.
Okay.
And there are ways that the
is this based at all, or did you put any of this together? Have you seen that study that came out of Israel in the last couple of years? It was a hyperbaric study. It was a hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And the way I understand it is it was quite a large group. They've reversed aging, but what they would do, they would take and they would bring them down to depth, so to speak, hyperbaric. They'd give them 100% O2 for, let's say, 40 minutes. And then they would change that, just like you're saying, they would change the amount of oxygen. They would go off oxygen to a regular mix. Instead of 100% O2, I think it went to a 20/80 mix. They would breathe that for 10 minutes and they would do this. So changing that saturation, it sounds very similar to what you're doing. Is this where it came from?
You hit the nail on the head. Actually, EWOT, it's called exercise with oxygen therapy. It's with a bike. It simplifies what HBOT wants to do, because HBOT requires, inflation, deflation, and it's about 45 minutes to an hour and a half inside the chamber. So that's like 2-3 hours, the whole thing. My bike, my EWOT takes 15 minutes. That's it. That is it. And you're done for 3 days. Your oxygen is super high. And, COVID and other disease will hit in a hypoxic environment. So a high oxygen environment will pretty much stave off inflammation.
I'm in. How can we be your affiliate office here in Corona, Colorado?
I would probably move there.
Yeah,
I'm going to move everything
we'll
there.
get your affiliate office open, and then you can come in and instruct.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should have known. We should have met you before we climb Everest. So we have altitude training with you. We did it the hard way. But yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it can do that. The EWOT, the 13% is kind of like you are in altitude.
Right.
And what the body does to protect you is it drops oxygen from RBC into your bloodstream so that you can use it. So we're doing the same thing. So your oxygen saturation will most likely go down to 92 to 88. On the bike, when you reach 92 to 88, we switch you back to 93% oxygen and rest. And so we're stacking oxygen on top of each other, oxygen on top of oxygen on top of oxygen. So it's super high, and it stays that way for three days. Yeah.
Yes.
I've been following that. It's something that I'm very interested in. So I've been following. I have a lot of things that I've sort of looked into, and that study was quite profound. And I was also looking at, well, how could I sort of biohack that myself at my own house? And I've even talked to Janet about building a hyperbaric chamber. It's been a discussion in our household, and there's other things that I'm really privy to, or I am very excited about. And one is NAD,
yes.
NAD, and
nicotinamide adenosine diphosphate. Yes.
I've even called
adenine diphosphate. Yeah.
I called pharmacies. Maybe you can help me here, but we tried to find a pharmacy who could get us that drip in the Philippines, because I was going to, biohack myself. I was going to go in, I was going to do a system I was just so pumped when I understand how that works. The other one that really got my interest was through David Sinclair. I'm not sure.
Okay.
David Sinclair, he's a Harvard professor. He's studying longevity, but he has a stack, I would say, where he's doing, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but one of the things was a drug used for diabetes, and it was called
metformin.
Metformin. And that actually has some incredible life extending attributes.
Yes, it does. Metformin. There is something else that you could use, and I forget what it is, but yeah, Dave Asprey used to use metformin as well.
Okay.
And then stop, because it will still have, the side effects and whatever, but yeah, but metformin is something. But NAD, I think there's somebody that supplies the drip here. The drip is super expensive, and it can cause nausea and all of that, whatever. But I know that there are people that in the US, in the biohacking circles there, they say that you can just get an injection for $60 as opposed to $1,500 for a drip.
Right.
Dollars. Yeah.
The thing is, I just first wanted to price it at the pharmacy. Like, how much is it going to cost me to get it? I can probably organize the drip through, a friend or a doctor within my own community, or even like you said, I could do an injection, but I couldn't get the pharmacy. Do you remember the pharmacy?
Yeah, it's a something wellness. They are not very receptive about it. You know,
It
it's like
almost sounded like they
they're
were
very
scared.
suspicious. Like, oh, what are you gonna do about this? What is this?
Yeah, and I said, well, it's a
And-
vitamin, but we're just trying to find out a price because I have this business idea, because I really have had this idea of building a health and wellness business. Actually,
Yeah.
I've had this red light therapy I was going to do, and NAD drip, and but
Yeah,
anyway, that's
that
where
is
we're at today. It's a very exciting topic for us.
biohacking galore. Like if you go to Santa Monica in the mothership, we call it Upgrade Labs by Dave, you'll see an NAD drip there. You'll see telomere tests and all of these
Super
it's
expensive.
just yeah. EWAT. Yeah, he has neurofeedback, pretty much the stuff that I have, but he has like atmospherics. I don't know, whatever that high tech stuff he has there. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's the wave of the future. That is how
Yes.
health
And
it needs to be approached.
yes.
Yeah.
So we're on your team. We're definitely going to
Yeah.
promote your stuff. Pretty exciting.
And yes, tell us who goes to your
Your clinic.
clinic, athletes and who can go? Is anybody?
And yeah, tell us a little bit about the services.
Yeah.
Get us a little, the devil in the detail.
Yeah. Well, it's actually womb to tomb. But my marketing coach said that if you market everybody, you market nobody. So right now I'm marketing it for athletes who are my low hanging fruit, and they're the most inflamed people on the planet. I'm sure I mean, because of the the stuff that you do in order to get to your goals. So for biohacking, the rule is you work out once, you recover twice.
Yeah.
So you are a recovery machine, and this is the secret to prolonging your career and preventing
Red
injury
line.
and illness. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we are a hyper recovery center.
Cool.
But inflammation is not just in athletes. Inflammation is also depression, fibromyalgia, cancer, autism, all of that. So all my machines actually will help inflammation, whether you're a 5-year-old or a 100-year-old or an athlete or a banker or a CEO or a freelancer. Doesn't matter. It helps everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so true what you said. It's like train once and recover twice, because I think
It's one of my biggest faults. I
yeah,
never can
one-
stop. I
one
always
of
push
the
myself too hard.
one of the like greatest thing of athletes is that they really push because of the mentality. You push and push and
Harder you
push and
push.
yeah, no pain no gains, the old school. But it's
Yeah,
the most what do you call this, violated law of training is the recovery, is the rest, it's when everything takes place. It's not during the exercise or the movement itself. It's when you're resting, everything's like okay, growing, becoming strong.
Exactly.
I
That's
think
when
one of
human
the-
growth
one of
hormone comes out.
yes.
One of the biohacks in that area is when you're resting, you implement a training. And that training, for
Mhm.
example, could be chair flying. When I say chair flying, we had Colonel Terry Virts on the other day, commander of the International Space Station, and he described chair flying as a way of sitting down, meditating, like putting the airplane, flying from your chair,
Mhm.
sort of doing a preview of that. So that time can be used
Yeah.
as training your
Yeah.
downtime in a different sort of degree,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. So we call it the pregnant pause, because there's so many things that happen in that silent time.
Right.
Integration of what you've learned, your muscles are learning, are repairing and getting bigger. Human growth hormone comes out, and you grow muscles in sleep.
Yeah.
It's not in the gym. It's in
not in the
sleep.
gym.
And so if you are not sleeping, you're not growing.
Right.
So and athletes, sometimes their sleep is disrupted because of too much cortisol, too much, and too little recovery. So that's why I put up my center.
I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of melatonin. I seems to work for me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I seem to have not take it that much anymore. I've sort of weaned myself off
Yes.
it. But there was a time when I wasn't
Yeah.
sleeping, and we have
Yeah.
a jar of it here, and I don't take it anymore. But when I do
Mhm.
take it, man, I sleep like a baby. I just like,
Well, yeah.
Did you
I don't know if
melatonin?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Go
you know,
ahead.
the true magic of melatonin is it's a tumor inhibitor. It's an anti-cancer hormone.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
really.
keep
And
taking
this,
it. I
well,
keep taking it
look,
because I really am in the mornings. I'm like, I could just lay in bed for another hour. I don't get
yeah,
out of bed. I'm
yeah.
like, it just feels so good. So sometimes I quit taking it. The reason I quit taking it is I want to have more energy in the morning, but I didn't
Yes,
have that
yes.
property.
But I would say that refrain from melatonin unless you're jet lagging and you really have to catch up,
Mm.
with a circadian rhythm with a new time zone. But your own natural melatonin is better than synthetic. But you would observe that melatonin is actually part of the nutraceutical stack of CDCPH
Right.
and
We
Mhm.
saw that.
FLCP against COVID. Yeah, because it's anti-inflammatory and it induces sleep, and sleep is what heals everything. So
Right.
yeah, it's really, really powerful. And
Great
and
stuff.
people who do not sleep have high risk of cancer. So you see the people, the kids who are working in BPOs,
Mhm.
their risk for breast cancer is so high because they're
Wow.
not sleeping. They're not secreting melatonin correctly. So
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
part of it.
I was gonna say that Todd has improved in the melatonin. Yes, he has cut off and he can sleep, naturally more and better lately. But I guess it's a reason why he's taking it is that his history is he has sailed around the world without an engine, mostly by himself, and sleep deprivation was a
Yeah, I sort of
natural.
got really used to,
It's
4 hours sleep at night. And I just sort of developed sort of this rhythm where I don't sleep that much, very light sleeper.
Right.
But I've through therapy and through
Yeah,
some
yeah,
training and
yes,
changing that sort of system, I've gotten a lot better for sure.
yes, definitely.
awesome. You sleep teacher.
Cool.
And
I,
and I
I'm
sell these.
I have another
Oh,
question.
oh,
These. So this is another thing I've been seeing the last few days. Tell us about that.
Yes, these are blue blockers. This is Blue Blocks. I'm a distributor here in the Philippines. They are deep sleep glasses. So you would wear them at 7 p.m. or at sunset, 7 p.m. so that you block all the blue light and green light from the gadgets, indoor lighting, the TV and everything, so that melatonin will pour naturally.
Okay.
When you wear them, they are the spectrum of sunset, and sunset was put there for a reason.
Right.
It is to signal the body that it's time to wind down and
Yeah.
melatonin should pour. But because we're looking at gadgets,
Yeah.
that kind of gets disrupted. When you wear this, the signal is clear. And so you get sleepy by 10. You're sleepy. I can't fight it. I have to go to walk to my bed and just sleep
You've been hacked.
already. So you've been hacked.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it.
Lifesaver.
That is cool. So I
Yeah.
have seen that in the last
Yeah.
few days. That looks like a really hot item. We'll contact you. We definitely need some of those in our house.
Yeah, definitely.
Gadgets have taken a hold of our house now since we've been sort of locked away. I have a question, and this is really pertaining to me and men of my age. I'm 53 years old now, and I am definitely feeling. I go to the gym quite often, but I am feeling that side of me that's losing that testosterone that I've had most of my life. It's obviously in the decline. I saw Joe Rogan be talking on his show the other day about some testosterone therapy. Do you have anything for guys like me who are looking to sort of get their testosterone levels back up and bring their vitality back, so to speak?
Yes, all of the machines that give you cellular energy can help with that, but especially red light therapy and infrared therapy has been seen to increase testosterone and really also increase melatonin, all of that. Because light is cellular energy. I mean, we have photobioreceptors everywhere, especially in our eyes, and we were meant to receive signals from the sun. And that's why a lot of us are sick, because people are wearing eyeglasses, sunglasses, and staying indoors. But yes, red light, I can point you to my supplier, but there's also something called peptides. And they are, I believe, peptides are precursors to amino acids and amino acids to protein. So they're the smallest form. and they're injectable subcutaneously. There is testosterone that can be injected
Okay.
subcutaneously.
Mm.
Yeah, and I've actually used peptides to grow back an ACL tear, like the cartilage grows back over
Mhm.
time, though. Okay, like over a year or two, but slowly it's starting to fuse together. I've injected for telomere lengthening
Right.
and all of that. But yeah, there is somebody in the group that can talk to you about testosterone, subcutaneous testosterone. But I'm also very careful about that, about hormones in general. Like I wouldn't even do HRT, even if I might be a candidate for it, just because the hormones are
Right.
so delicate. Like if you inject or if you do one thing, it might imbalance another.
Mhm.
That kind of thing. It might have other repercussions. So I'm very, very, very cautious about that. I'd rather do sunlight exposure, red light therapy, EWAT, and all of that, and let the body decide its own balance.
Okay.
Whether that means increasing a little bit of testosterone, it'll balance itself out.
Sure.
That type of thing.
Okay.
I
More
want
into that concept.
to touch on two things here. One, I remember in the beginning of our conversation, you spoke of a way that you had measured your, I think you put it as like your cellular age. How did you
Yeah.
go about that? How did you measure that?
Oh, I have a scanner. I have something that scans. It's a subatomic scan. So it looks at how your body regulates itself from a state of stress. So basically, you are as young as how well your body puts itself back to center, comes back to center.
Okay.
Yeah. And
So it's possible I could go into your clinic, have this scan. It can tell me my cellular, or I guess you put a subatomic age, and over time, therapy through your sessions, maybe I come in 6 months later a younger person. Is that what I'm
yes,
getting?
absolutely. And it has happened where I've seen people with zero vital life force, like nothing left. And these are people who don't even look sick, feel sick, or think they're sick, but there's something going on already brewing underneath, and it'll just hit them. And after maybe 10 sessions with my machines, they became, well, I think she was about 20 years older. She became 4 years younger after 10 sessions. So if she had gone longer, she might have become younger and younger. But after 10 is when we measured, and she was 4 years younger than her age. So that's like 24 years,
Right.
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, this is very, very intriguing, amazing stuff. I've the other thought that I was having that sort of relates to this and how I learned about this, that they can actually measure your age or your cellular age, was there was another study that was done. It was very small, but very profound. And
Mhm.
it was a professor in California, or a study somewhere in California. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they used HGH, metaform again, and what's that other one? DHEA? Is that the one?
EA, dehydroepi,
Yeah.
yeah,
Those
androsterone, yeah,
those
DHEA.
three, and they were giving an HGH, human growth hormone, metaform, to control the sugar response, because when you do high amounts of the HGH, it could put you, like especially at my age, into the diabetic range. Control the sugars, the diabetes. I'm not sure what the other compound was doing there, but after a year, every single person turned back their biological clock by quite a few years, and their I believe it's called the thymus, the
The
thing that
thymus gland.
all of theirs, they were 50. All of these people were above 50 years old, and all of them grew their thymus by a substantial amount. I don't know what that is. I don't want to ruin that number, but it was incredible. Now, this is quite a small study, but again, these are things
Yeah.
where I just, wow, man. And so they can actually measure our age now, and they can
Yes.
reverse aging. We are in that new era.
We are, yeah. It takes work, takes education. And again, all natural is what I like, nothing AI. but I believe how HGH, so you can hack that hack. So HGH,
Give us a
hack
hack.
it, sleep early, sleep by 10:30
Mhm.
because HGH comes out between 12 and 3 a.m. Right? So there, instead of metformin, use berberine because that's a plant-based version
Okay.
and natural supplement.
Mhm.
Just as effective, even more, maybe more effective than metformin without the side effects.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the
And
side effects, I actually tried the metformin, and I just, stomach complications were too much. Maybe I didn't titrate in properly, but my stomach just couldn't
Yeah.
handle it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But
what's
I
the-
would still, oh yeah, I would still be careful with berberine because it works so well. So I treat supplements with caution as well
Yeah.
because they can also cause imbalances in your minerals. Copper depletes zinc, and zinc is needed to synthesize iron, so you could give yourself anemia. Things of that nature. It has to be done cautiously, but. Yeah, berberine. And the other one is DHEA. So DHEA is like the master restorative hormone. It is the opposite of cortisol. So one or the other, seesaw. So when cortisol is up, DHEA is down. But when you're in parasympathetic, DHEA is up and cortisol is down. And you
That's
could do
the
that with
killer.
the heart math breathing that I was telling you,
Okay.
which puts you into parasympathetic. DHEA comes up, and that's the reason that you feel relaxed, healed, restored because of that hormone. So very hackable.
wow.
Does that raise your DHEA? Is that
DHEA.
right? Is it, when you do a workout, does that elevate
Yeah.
that as well? Is that one?
There are endorphins in a workout, but
Okay.
actually, thank you for bringing that up because a lot of people think that workouts are anti-aging, and they are to a certain extent.
Right.
There are synapses in the
But we're
brain that wake
burning.
up.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. It's still stress. It's still an
Mhm.
activation of the sympathetic nervous system. So if you're already stressed at work and then you feel like you want to do a workout to relax yourself, that is the antithesis of relaxing.
Mhm.
Because if you're stressed at work, there's cortisol. You're stressed at home, there's cortisol. Then you're working out, that's still more cortisol. This
Okay.
kind of person will have a hard time sleeping because of too much cortisol. So I would say again, biohacking rule, recover twice, be a recovery machine. Instead of the workout, do meditation instead, or
Okay.
sleep
Okay,
techniques,
I'm
yoga
getting it.
nidra, something like that.
Yeah.
I must be just addicted to the dopamine.
Yeah,
Because
the-
that seems to be my way out. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The word stress actually is also very tricky,
I get it.
Yeah.
I need to work on
Yeah.
breathing exercises.
Yeah.
Bring something
Breathing
new into it.
exercises. There's such a thing as eustress, which is the kind of stress that you experience when you're challenged by a project in school or something that's so exciting. I want to do this. That's stress. That's still sympathetic. But also like skiing, sliding, laughing with people, or running errands, crossing the street, going up the stairs to catch a bus or whatever. That's still sympathetic, but it's not bad. It's required. In fact, a healthy individual should have equal or a very balanced state between, very balanced parasympathetic and sympathetic. That means that human is alive.
Yeah.
They're running
Right.
errands,
Balance.
they're working, they're eating, and then they're resting in between and sleeping in between. That's the part that most humans are missing, is the recovery part. And that's what biohackers like me are kind of trying to stress, that you need to recover. If you want to live to 200, which is what Dave says that he wants to do,
Right.
you have to be a recovery machine.
Yeah.
That-
I think on top of my head, I think that recovery has been exploited and has been taken for granted because of also throughout the years, our lifestyle has been very, very advanced. Everything has been fast.
Moving fast. It's moving
Like-
fast.
We get irritated. It's like, oh my God, the signal. Oh my God, it's like 2 seconds. Oh my God, it's not coming up. It's just the end of the world. It's like that's how we act right now.
Yeah.
It's like, and everything should be fast. Like, okay, if it's my food is not here, I'm wasting a lot of time. So everything's like fast and
I
we
never
don't-
get enough done in the day.
I
and,
know.
and it's putting a lot of
There's not
stress on
enough
us,
hours.
right? So yes, I
It's,
think
it's like a sign of the times. Like when we were younger, we had siestas, and you know, we turned off the TV at 10:30 because it was like birds and bees. It was like nothing was on anymore. There's no Netflix,
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
to watch. So,
TV.
okay, let's just go to bed.
yes, exactly.
know?
We had a because we do expeditions here in Northern Palawan when pre-pandemic, and we do 3 or 5 day expedition out in the islands.
Oh, yeah, it
And
was
we
such-
had and we had one guest who signed up for a 5 day expeditions, and he was just like alone in an island, not alone, but he spent a lot of time in an island, and he was from, I think, Denmark.
Oh, he was, yeah, he did a lot of, we were on a boat. We were traveling
we
with
were
him a lot.
traveling. Yeah.
But-
So
oh, sorry.
anyway, he said after 5 days of just being out in an island, he said, I've never had so much sleep in my whole life. Like, just like my body clock just kicked in. It's like if the sun is up, I'm up. I don't even know if it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And if it's the sun is down or, it's sunset, I just feel sleepy. I just go to bed,
Oh
eat my
my
dinner, go to
God.
bed. And it's just like,
You
this
go
is
back
so
to nature.
wholesome. So,
Go back to nature.
yeah, because when you're in the city,
it
it's
brings you back.
it's
That's
it's
it.
still super bright at night and you can't sleep. So I think that's
Yeah.
that's what we have been
Yeah.
deprived of,
Oh, what-
being one with nature again.
For sure.
Yeah.
You guys don't need to put up a center because you are in the perfect biohacking. Because I was telling you, biohacking is just following nature.
Yeah.
It's copying the sun's rays and the oxygen in the atmosphere and its effect on us, and the heat of the sun, which is far
Yes.
infrared.
Yes.
Grounding, PMF, grounding. That's from the
Yeah, this grounding.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think we're still very lucky in a way,
Yeah.
and very blessed that every morning we enjoy the sun. I bring out
Wildlife and-
everything, dry it under the sun, just to kill all whatever it is in there. So, and
Well,
You see, yes.
I want to bring it back just for a second. I think we're going to close the show here
Yeah.
pretty soon, but I'm getting so excited now.
yes.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
thinking back in my history. I took off to sail around the world when I was 26 years old, and I did my first passage from Washington State, which was up by Vancouver, right? So I came out of the San Juans there, and then I went offshore I got caught in a storm. It actually should have been a 6-day passage. It took me 12 days to get to San Francisco. So I
Whoa.
spent 12 days at sea. You just see ocean. You're off with the television. You're off with society. You don't have the stores. None of that. As soon as I came into San Francisco, it was so strange. It was like we could hear the city while we were coming into shore. When I got into walking on the streets and walking into grocery stores, I could hear the lights humming inside the stores. My senses were heightened. I didn't know that we could hear and see all these things until it was cut off for some time, like it's almost like this dopamine therapy they're talking about in Silicon Valley. You have to shut it off for a while to get it back.
Oh, that is so cool. And I want to quote one of my favorite books. It was written by James Nestor, and I write about it in Biohacking Philippines. I write about a lot of my favorite books in Biohacking Philippines. One of them is Breath, and the other one is Diving. And he was looking at humans and how they live. For example, in Manhattan. Manhattan before it was a city, was jungle, and the inhabitants there most likely had the same kind of magnetic ability, to find north, just like birds. But we
Right.
lost that because of the landscape, because of the
Electromagnetic, all the stuff going on.
non-native electromagnetic fields and the buildings that are blocking everything. But before that, we knew how to find north.
Yeah.
We had, I forget what he called it, magnetometer. I forget what.
Into it, all of our bodies have that innate sort of natural compass, with the earth, the sun, the moon, the rotation
Yeah.
of the magnetic field. We're all connected to that.
Absolutely. I want to get back to that. It's my dream to just get back to that natural code.
Come
Yeah.
over here. Good one.
Yeah, I know.
Where we're
It's
at.
so difficult now. It's so difficult to travel. One of the
Yeah.
things that we're struggling here
Travel.
is that, you know, we can't go anywhere. Like even just to go visit friends on another island is so difficult for us. So yeah.
Because of restrictions
Yes.
or
Yeah. So like if
So-
someone came into town here currently, they
Mm-hmm.
have to go through quarantine.
Through quarantine. Yeah.
And that's
Even if
such a
they're
pain, and
vaccinated.
and it's
Weird.
expensive. So if we leave and we go to Manila to go visit some friends, or let's just say take care of something medical
Yeah.
because we don't have that much stuff here, do a big shop, we've got to go into a quarantine center for 12 days.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been going on for us for 18 months. So our life has changed drastically because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just be patient. I think that'll change. I think that should change if they want
There's
Filipinos to
chatter.
live again.
There's
Yeah.
chatter that something for us might change
Yeah.
in November.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So,
think
fingers
we're
crossed.
finger crossed we're
Yeah.
reopening. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I hope so. I hope
Yes.
so.
Well-
I love talking to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ellie, I think we're going to wrap it up with what a great meeting. So happy to meet you and learn about biohacking and share some views and perspectives. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
You're a wonderful couple. Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much. And we have learned a lot, and we still have a lot to learn from you.
Yeah.
And this is not going to be the last
Yes,
of our
definitely.
interview and with you, chit chat. And we're really, really very happy that we met you and we have this time with you this afternoon. Thank you for your time, Ellie.
Thank you. Please come face to face soon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Come
We
to my
will.
center.
Looking
we will. That's
forward.
going to happen. We'll make that happen. for
Yes.
sure. Before
please.
we close, tell our audience where can they find you? Where are the
Yes.
places? Your websites, your Facebook group, your business. Give us a wrap up on how anybody can get in touch and follow you, or wherever you're in whatever you're doing.
Okay, thank you. My center is unlimited.ph. That's UNLTD.PH. And we are in 123 Pioneer Street, Mandaluyong City. And my personal website is eliabela.com, ELIABELA.com. And my Facebook group where I give free biohacking advice and we exchange a lot of views, health views there, is Biohacking Philippines, where I met Todd and Janet. So please
Yeah.
come and visit. Thank you so much.
Thanks again.
Okay.
Hey,
yes.
enjoy the rest of your day. What a pleasure. Thanks again. Take
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
All right.
Ellie.
care. Ellie. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye bye.
you. Bye.
Okay, Joseph, magandang umaga. Maraming salamat sa oras mo ngayong umaga. Pwede mong kilala ang sarili mo sa audience natin at tungkol sa Tribe Calamian Gym at ang mga serbisyo na pinapaanukala mo dito.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joseph Mercado. I'm owner of Tribe Calamian Fitness Gym. I'm also a professional MMA fighter.